Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into the incredible story of how the gay rodeo finally came back to its birthplace in Reno, Nevada. We're talking nearly 4 decades after it was literally run out of town by prejudice and fear.
So, to really get this story, we're not going to start at the beginning. Nope, we're starting at a moment of just intense conflict. It's 1988, just outside Fallon, Nevada. And one attendee, John King, he remembers it so clearly. His words really paint a stark picture.
I mean, just try to imagine this for a second. The Gay Rodeo Finals had already been pushed out of their venue in Reno, so they moved to this private ranch. But when they show up, they're met by the county sheriff holding a shotgun. There's a judge's injunction tacked to the gate. For hours, contestants and their horses are just stuck there, blocked from getting in, with people screaming threats of violence. Eventually, they had no choice but to turn back.
So you see, this was so much more than just a canceled event. As John King said, it became their stonewall. It was this absolute line-in-the-sand moment, a moment of resistance that would, just echo for decades to come. So how on earth did it even get to this point?
To really understand that awful confrontation, we've got to rewind. Let's go back to the very beginning. And I'm telling you, where this rodeo came from, it is probably not what you'd expect at all.
So get this, the whole thing actually started out with some surprisingly wholesome roots. We're talking 1976. A local LGBTQ leader, Phil Ragsdale, he wanted to raise some money for a Thanksgiving dinner for senior citizens. And, well, being in Nevada, he had a pretty unique idea. Hey, let's throw a rodeo.
And that idea, it just took off. I mean, it went from just 125 people at the start to a whopping 10,000 attendees in only 4 years. It was huge. But by 1988, man, the whole social climate had changed. The AIDS crisis was just fueling so much bigotry, and conservative activists put a ton of pressure on local politicians. The university canceled their contract, and just like that, the rodeo was forced out of the very city where it was born.
But look, this is not a story about defeat. It is absolutely a story of triumph, because 37 years later, the rodeo finals came home to Reno. And one of the very first things they did, they got on a bus and went right back to Fallon to face that painful memory head-on.
Standing right there on that same roadside, you had the IGRA president, Brian Helander, and a competitor, Andy Sekinen. And they just captured the whole feeling of the day perfectly. It wasn't about being angry. No, it was about understanding, about getting some closure, and about triumph. Just saying, loud and clear, we're still here.
And they marked this moment with this just incredibly powerful ceremony. Someone held up a giant, poster-sized printout of that original injunction from 1988. Then the whole group chanted together. And after that, they rolled up that symbol of bigotry, nice and tight, and sealed it shut with rainbow duct tape. They literally closed a painful chapter and turned this instrument of hate into a piece of history.
Okay, so now that it's back home, what's the rodeo actually like? Well, it's this amazing blend of classic Western tradition and something totally new, something radically inclusive.
The whole vibe is just completely different from a traditional rodeo. You go behind the chutes, and instead of those steely competitive glares, you see goofy smiles and people giving each other pep talks. It's a place that has room for both flamboyance and machismo. And it's all built on this incredible sense of community.
And the inclusivity here, it's absolutely groundbreaking. Seriously. The International Gay Rodeo Association is one of the only sporting organizations out there that actively welcomes and encourages trans athletes. You've got women competing in rough stock events like bull riding, events that are usually just for men. Teams are mixed gender and straight allies. They're right there competing with everybody else. It's pretty amazing.
And the fun doesn't stop in the dirt. A massive part of the whole event is the royalty contest and the Western dance competition. It's this huge celebration of identity in every single form. Drag performances and pageantry are just as important as roping skills, and it all leads to the crowning of titles like the non-binary MXIGRA.
Okay, and you absolutely cannot talk about the gay rodeo without talking about the camp events. I mean, these are the competitions that really, truly set it apart. It's a perfect mix of real rodeo skills with a giant dose of humor and spectacle.
So you've got events like goat dressing, and yes, you heard me right, it's a timed race to put underwear on a goat. Then there's steer decorating. They're both huge crowd favorites. But the absolute peak of glorious chaos, that's got to be the wild drag race. A 3-person team has to get a drag queen onto the back of a steer and then ride it across a finish line. It's hilarious, it's a little bit dangerous, and it is 100% pure gay rodeo.
So for our last section, let's talk about what this return means for the city of Reno itself, the place where this whole thing started.
When you look back at 1988, it's pretty clear. Reno blew it, big time. The city had this amazing chance to get behind something unique and special, something that was born right in its own backyard. But instead, it chased a creative, vibrant community right out of town.
But you know what? Reno's a city that loves a second chance. In this return, it's so much more than just a rodeo. It's a real opportunity for the city to finally embrace a piece of its own history and welcome back this homegrown culture it once threw away. And in this one last perfect gesture, that rainbow-taped injunction from the ceremony in Fallon, it was just quietly placed in a box. It's going to be filed away in the IGRA archives. The history wasn't erased, not at all, but it was acknowledged, it was honored, and it was put in its proper place.
The story of the gay rodeo's return it's a story of incredible resilience, of pure joy. It's about this powerful idea that even after decades of pain and exclusion, it's never too late to come home. And it kind of leaves you with this one big thought, right? What does it really mean for a community to not just survive, but to come back and triumphantly reclaim its own story?